In this video, we talk about emphasis. By now you should understand that writing is mostly an issue of guiding the reader's thoughts. You want to transfer your thoughts and your thought process to the reader. This is why I've been talking about structuring the paper in a certain way so that it is really easy for the reader to follow the logical science story from the big question all the way to your specific study and why you did it, and on to your specific conclusion. And find it logical, right? Find no issue with it. And a way to direct attention is to make good use of emphasis. Information that is emphasized really grabs the reader's attention, so you don't want the attention to be on information that is not important for your paper. You only put it in there as an aside. So in this video I'll give you 5 ways how to create emphasis and therefore control the attention of the reader to a certain degree. The first way to control emphasis is by very carefully choosing where in a sentence you position certain information. The most emphasis granting position in a sentence is the end. And the second most emphasis granting position is in the beginning. And if you want to hide something, you can put it somewhere in the middle.
Okay, so we are now looking at the first examples. This sentence was not taken from a paper. What I did was look into a paper and paraphrase a paragraph and turn it into a single sentence. So the sentence is, other models estimate the strength of a perturbation by the resulting error in hand position. So the emphasis, as we just learned, is first on the resulting error in hand position. So properly read, this would mean other models estimate the strength of perturbation by the resulting error in hand position. And other models is the second, and then the strength of perturbation is the least. Important information here, based on the position in the sentence. So by putting the resulting error in hand position last to the most emphasized part, and other models first, the second most emphasized part, you can guess that this would be a sentence that maybe is between discussing one kind of a method that estimates strength of a perturbation versus this new type of model that estimates the strength of a perturbation by the resulting error in hand position. So if we restructure this sentence and de-emphasize resulting error in hand position, we might get something like, other models use the error in hand position to estimate the strength of the causal perturbation. Maybe they're switching from talking about a model that uses the error in hand position for some different prediction to also, or instead, estimate the strength of a causal perturbation using the error in hand position. Now you can also switch the emphasis towards other models by putting other models to the most emphasized position at the end, but because they are the acting or the agent in this sentence, you will have to change it to passive voice. So let's say the strength of the causal perturbation is estimated by the resulting error in hand position in other models. We de-emphasize or which kind of information the model is using, and emphasize that this is about other models and not the models we've been talking about before. Let me know in the comment section if you agree that there was a noticeable change in emphasis between these sentences.
The second way to control emphasis still has to do with sentence structure. This time I'm talking about complex sentences. So if you have the main clause, subclauses, and other parts of the sentence that don't even count as clauses, then as you can imagine, the main emphasis will be on information that you give in the main clause. The subclause will have like a reduced amount of emphasis, and everything else will only be an aside. There will not be much of emphasis on this information.
So we stay in the same framework as in the previous example, while other models use hand position error to estimate perturbation strength. Our model uses visual feedback. So this is the main clause. Our model uses visual feedback. And then we have the subordinate clause that cannot stand on its own because it has the while. While indicates that there needs to be some more information coming. So you cannot just say, while other models use hand position error to estimate perturbation strength. That's not a sentence. You want it to continue. So it's just building up to the main information. Our model uses visual feedback. That comes in the main clause. I also put the main clause at the end. You have competition now. We have two modes of assigning emphasis. One is the position or putting the information in the main clause. The other is to put the information in the final position of the sentence. So what happens if we mix this up? So now we have an alignment. Our model uses visual feedback, is the main clause, and it's at the end of the sentence. So let's see what happens if we change this. So we move the main clause to the beginning. Our model uses visual feedback to estimate perturbation strength, while other models use hand position error. So now we have the information about our model that uses visual feedback in the beginning, which is also the main clause. So it has some emphasis, but now because this is at the end, it also has emphasis. So there's a struggle now. Which is the more important information? So I would assume that in most cases, doing it the way it's done in the first sentence is more useful, because then you don't create ambiguity. Unless, of course, that's the point you want to make. I mean, often in science we do have ambiguity, and it's not really clear what the final answer will be. And in that case, it makes sense to give both more or less the same weight. It really depends on your situation.
The third way to control emphasis is by carefully paying attention to how many words you use to address an issue or to lead into the main term that you want emphasized. This is where we actually leave the realm of beginners' tips and move on to more advanced writer's advice. Because I'm basically telling you that you are allowed now to add words in order to increase emphasis. And the way you do it, the words you choose, etc., is how you start to define your style. The original recommendation of using as few words as possible and cut everything out that you don't need still holds true when you are trying to de-emphasize things. So if you go through your text and you realize, oh, this is actually an issue that I do not want to discuss in that detail, but I'm using a lot of words on it. Then maybe you should go back and start cutting again.
Let's look at, again, the same framework for this example and add some words to give weight to the sentence that we want to, or the part of the sentence that we want to emphasize. While our model uses visual cues, other models estimate the perturbation strength by its resulting error in hand position. So we want to emphasize the second clause, the main clause. How can we do it? Just add some words. While our model uses visual cues, other models estimate the perturbation strength by okay, now we change it up. So we make the sentence a little bit more complicated by specifically pointing out that it's an error in prediction. So we say by the prediction error in hand position. And then we put one on top by saying it causes. So now instead of just saying other models estimate the perturbation strength by its resulting error in hand position, we now say other models estimate the perturbation strength by the prediction error in hand position it causes. Then finally, while our model uses visual cues, models of force field adaptation generally assume that we estimate the strength of perturbation force from the prediction error of hand position it causes. So now we added more jargon and it's more words, and I think we overdid it. What do you say? Was this too much? I think we did too much.
Way number 4 to create emphasis is, and I've said it a couple of times, repetition. So if there's a message that you want your readers to take home, you should repeat it. On the other hand, if there's something that you do not want to emphasize, that you do not want the reviewer to pick up on, stop talking about it all the time. Just stop it. The only thing that you want to have repeated is your take-home message. Oh, but just to make sure, you should only repeat the main message, obviously. Just don't repeat too many things too often.
So I found this almost textbook example of repetition throughout an article to really make sure that the reader takes the message home. So it says in the title, postsynaptic serine racemase regulates NMDA receptor function. Serine racemase is SR in the following, NMDA receptor is NMDAR. We should look at the abstract. Our findings support a cell autonomous role for postsynaptic neuronal SR in regulating synaptic NMDAR function. Let's go look at the end of the introduction. This evidence supports a cell autonomous role for postsynaptic neuronal SR in regulating synaptic function and suggests a possible autocrine mode of deserine action. And it's again here we demonstrate a cell autonomous role for SR in regulating synaptic NMDAR function. Let's look at the results sections. Single neuron genetic deletion of SR reduces NMDAR something something. Single neuron genetic deletion of SR upregulates. Single neuron genetic deletion of SR impairs LTP. Now the discussion. Main result. We find that single neuron genetic deletion, etc. Furthermore, we have also identified. Together, these results provide strong evidence for the neuronal localization and cell autonomous function of SR in the attacked hippocampus. In addition, these findings together suggest a possible autocrine mode of D-serine action at synapses. So they repeat this whole thing, right? Neuronal SR regulating synaptic NMDA-R function. In summary, our data show the postsynaptic localization of SR in hippocampal, blah, 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 and the cell autonomous regulation of NMDA-R by neuronal SR. So, with the exception of the method section, they repeat their main result at least once in every major section.
All right, way number 5 to control emphasis is by using strong words. If you use a strong enough word, it doesn't really matter where you put it, it will catch some attention.
Okay, so let me combine the final example with a recommendation for further watching here on YouTube. This is from an excellent workshop held by Judy Swan. The link is in the video description and in the information box on top of the video.
Okay, if you have a strong enough word, it can carry the day. For instance, try this sentence. Although Fred's a nice guy, he commits genocide. Now I'm going to guess that if I ask you to judge Fred, we're going to get 100% thumbs down on Fred, and it's not going to matter where we put in the sentence. You will be universal in your condemnation of Fred. Now, but here's an interesting thing. We're going to unpack this. What happens in those situations is that the word carries the reader's judgment about the substance, but it reflects on it changes the way the reader judges the writer.
If you want the information that I just gave you summarized in a PDF, you can download it from my website. The link is in the description box below. If you liked the video, like the video and subscribe to my channel. There will also be a link to the playlist for the series in the end card. Just wait for it. I thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Bye bye.